Bill.
Well, I think the people at the table here are very similarly situated to the rest of you. There are really maybe two parts to this. One is, what action can we take? We need to be more vocal, speaking up, that these are real problems, the gun violence, the divide, the wars. The much harder question is, what specifically can be done to address each of these? And that's not a 5-minute answer.
All right.
Very good.
Next.
Thanks, Bill. And Nick has some ideas from this table.
One of the main things we came up with, or it started with prayer, right? We definitely need to take everything to prayer. Don't discount the power that prayer can have. Whether you're walking through a store, praying for those around you, just keeping everything in prayer. We talked about even going through a cashier's line. Somebody's having a bad day. Don't avoid them, but actually take the effort to step up and interact with them and see if you can't, in your short little time with that person, brighten their day or something like that. We talked about righteousness and how we're just afraid, a lot of us, to even step up and say anything about God or Christ or whatever, and not willing to take on whatever look we get or slanderous word or something that might come back at us if we stand up for our beliefs. So it's just mainly a matter of going forward as Christians, loving each other, stepping up, doing what we need to do to do that. And then to go back to, do we talk to our legislatures and what's our main, that's a bigger conversation. But those are some things we can do as Christians.
Okay. And let's see.
It's not the mic, it's me. It's okay. Our table was talking about the importance of community.
Just so that, because the speakers.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's all it is.
That table was talking about the importance of Christ in community. So any way we can reach out to our friends, our family, everyone. If you can hear me, our friends, our family, reaching out to the community. Obviously, there's plans. Antonio was talking about plans for a new church. But I was talking about conversations, outreach. So anything we can do to help ourselves, our families, our friends, be there for people. I know Chris is doing, wherever Chris is,
Over here.
really good. He was doing a really good pilgrimage program. Just fascinating on the rosary, on the stages of the cross. So, everything that we can do to promote our values, what we believe in, those things. So that's what we're talking about.
Thank you. And from this table? Jenny. Jenny,
Scares me.
come back over here.
I have a loud voice, so I'm just going to talk in here. We were on the same page as you and reaching out to our community, getting more people involved in church, whether it's this church, the Episcopal Church, being part of something, part of a family, and getting back to the nuclear family, helping our kids get off of the internet, giving them a reprieve of that. But I think it's really important, just watching my parents come through this and watching the community that they have here and had here is so important. And I think with that, we are able to keep our eyes and help people through hard times. And we start knowing people, we start knowing their children and seeing what is going on in our valley and just being there for each other. And I think that's, for me, I think that's a big part of it. And I think we need to come back to that because I feel like we've gotten so far away from that. And I think getting down in our morals and ethical behavior, and yeah, that's kind of how I feel. And we feel.
heard something 70 years ago. Bishop Fulton Sheen predicted that the politics of today, the ethics of today, the moral decay would occur in America. And he said it was because the world seems to be getting drawn away from fear of Christ. We're no longer following Jesus' commandments. We don't fear him anymore. We don't fear, as Father said today, the one, Lazarus went to heaven and the other guy didn't. And this, as I said, Bishop Sheehan predicted that 7 years ago, and you see it happening in America today. However, hopefully, and I won't talk about the politics of it all, but I don't know if any of you were able to watch the memorial for Charlie Kirk last week. And at least it seems to be a beginning for a trend to get back to following. And the main message was there, despite the sorrow of Mr. Kirk's death, was a return to Jesus. And every one of those political leaders and the people that gave speeches there last week talked about returning to God, returning to Jesus. So we all pray that we can get some traction and that occurs. And it's, it can get very disarming, because once again, you saw in Michigan today, the tragedy that happened there in a church. So, anyhow, thank you, Father.
I think, to kind of summarize, I think Bill said it well. I think it's such a big and vast topic, it's not going to be addressed completely in an hour. But the purpose was to begin. Okay? So, I thought that a number of the comments were terrifically insightful. I think that there is a value of coming together as a parish family in a respectful way. I think it's absolutely essential that we know one another. And I'm always surprised. I always think as the pastor that you all know each other. But I know, I've learned now, that's not the case. So, I'll just shoot real straight. You may not know the person who sits in front of you and behind you every single week, and that's a shame. Because I think that one of the ways to begin to address the situation, whatever we want to define it as, it's going to really start by getting to know one another. And so maybe we can use this gathering as a beginning to say, no, we really need to know one another. That's the whole purpose of those hospitality moments that we have here at Lady of the Snows, and we do it well at St. Charles and Hayward. I think that returning to the Lord and reflecting a little bit more deeply within a faith community is also real important. I think it's essential, actually. And so that's the kind of environment that I would hopefully see us building together. But again, I don't think it happens overnight. And one of the goals of this gathering was to at least have a beginning. And so where do we go from here? Well, I have a suggestion. And it's just another step in that process. And so I'd like to gather those who might be interested in getting a little bit more involved. I'm going to give you a date, October 8th. So there is no good time, but I'm wondering if October 8th at 11, before the noon mass here at Our Lady of the Snows, might be a time to just gather a core group of people who want to think about this process a little bit more, so we can take it to the larger group later on. I just chose that time, that date, because my evenings are, you can't believe my evenings. So I'm going to propose that. Anybody has a better date or a better time, we can certainly talk about that. But to begin to form, for lack of a better word, a little social justice committee or group. And the question that I would give to that group, okay, is so where do we go from here? And how can we continue to engage people? I don't know how to address all the big issues, but I do know if we start by knowing one another, I think that good things can come from it. So, October 8th at 11 in the morning here at Our Lady of the Snows. So
What day is that?
those who would be interested. And again, it has to be kept to an hour because I have mass at 12.
So I would like to say, just greeting people, smiling at people, saying hello. It's so easy. And there's a young man that works at Albertson, I don't know, he's about 60. He's greeting everybody, he's bringing you a card. He's just delightful. And even today I saw it. But just a simple little greeting and a smile would make it begin for other people. Like it might change their whole day. And I think that that's something we all can do every day.
I'd like to thank you for the wonderful hospitality.
Thank you,
Thank you. You did a great job. There is still some more food there. You're welcome to gather around that.
Does everyone at this table know everyone's name? Does everyone know everyone's name at this table?
Margaritas, yes, everybody know everybody at this table. I hope
I see.
Our moment together, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank Chris. I'd like to thank Bill. I'd like to thank Frank. They worked with me in trying to put this gathering together. But let's conclude with singing the prayer of St. Francis. You'll find it in the back of your sheet, and I invite you to please stand.
It is in pardoning that we are part.